Hello to everybody on the live stream. We're going to go and have a walk down in the pit lane to try and have a word with a couple of the drivers as they get themselves ready for what is now set to be a nail-biting qualifying session. This is going to be a really intense one. I'm with Toby Baldry. Toby, wet conditions now effectively, but the track not wet enough to make the switch to wet tyres, so the whole qualifying session's on a knife edge now.
Yeah, well, I love these conditions, so just curb every corner and you should be all right.
Ironically enough, Daniel Ricciardo tends to do well in these sorts of conditions as well.
Yeah, well, we may have a lot in like.
Nice one, Toby. Thanks very much. Let's see who else we can grab a word with. I don't want to interfere with the likes of George or Tom, who are already well prepared in the carts, ready to go. Oh, an opportunity here with Nikki Taylor. Nikki, of course, who won last time out in both the pre-final and the final at Shenington. Now you've got those two victories off your back as the first ones. I guess the pressure's off now a little bit for the end of the season. You just want to go for glory.
Yeah, I mean, we can just go for the wins now and just nail it, hammer on tongue, but then at the minute it's wet, so it's going to be really tricky in these conditions, but we're just going to have to see how it goes, and it's going to be a matter of who can stay on the road the quickest.
Yeah, slippery circuit on dry tyres because it's not wet enough for wets, so this is just about the toughest conditions you could ask for.
Yeah, I mean, it's not nice to be driving slicks in the wet, but it's one of them things. You drive in the UK, you get this often, so you just got to be used to it.
Very true. Thanks very much, Nikki. Good luck. So Nikki Taylor making his way into the cart. I'm fairly sure pretty much everybody else has got himself into the cart except for Harry Graham, who's going to be the last one in. While we've got an opportunity and while he's here in the pits, we'll have a quick word because obviously Harry is leading the championship coming into this final weekend of the season. Harry, so far so good. It looks pretty tight at the top between you and Callum, but these sorts of conditions, I guess, kind of play into your favour a little bit.
Not really, just makes everything a bit worse and a bit more difficult. We just have to see how it goes and hopefully it doesn't change too much today, the weather.
Well, traditionally when it rains you've always been towards the top five, so I guess the percentage is just trying to stay in touch with Callum and not lose too much ground to him.
Pretty much, yeah, that's the aim.
Fantastic. Looking forward to seeing what you can do out there, mate. Good luck.
Thanks.
So Harry Graham obviously with a lot to do. There is his main title rival, Callum Gunning, who's obviously going to be fighting for the victories. Let's not forget though that at the start of this season he won the first 5 races on the trot, so as long as he can get that winning streak back again, it could well be his title winning day. But there are so many drivers on this grid who are going to make it a very entertaining day at the office. We need to get out of the way because the drivers are about to blast out of the pits the qualifying session, and it's an amazing sight when they do so. Harry Barlow just talking away with Alicia Parmowski as she's about to go out for qualifying. Great to see the camaraderie as there are drivers up and down the grid that are willing to help each other as the races go out. We've got a couple of drivers down here in the pits actually as the drivers in the juniors go out onto the grid. I've got Nathan Ty right beside me. Nathan, you obviously took the gamble today, looking at the weather conditions, looking at what was at stake in the championship and decided I might just sit and watch. Looking at the way the weather's going for qualifying, it's not a bad guess now.
Well, we never knew the weather was going to be like this, and we all just needed a rest. It's been a really good year, and it's been great all year with everyone battling everything, and it's just, I just need a break.
You have been fighting all year long. I have to say, now that you know that the championship is won, I mean, is it a bit frustrating to be sat here on the sidelines watching when you could be out there?
Well, it will be better to be out there, but still don't want to lose anything, get any penalties or anything, so just keeping it safe.
It keeps the pressure off and it means that you can root for Oakley to win all the races without worrying what it means for you.
Yeah, it's nice to see at the sideline that I can support him and help everyone.
Fantastic. Congratulations, Nathan, 2018 birelART Cadet Champion. The last one ever. Well done.
Thank you.
Really good stuff. I don't want to get too much into Oakley. Oh, well, signalling me that I should talk to Oakley. Well, go on then. Oakley, come on. Oakley, I guess in a way the pressure is off now because we know that the title is won, so you're coming into these last 3 races. Yesterday was a bit tricky with the car. There were a few problems to shake out, but if it's a bit wet, does that even things up a bit more?
I still have a chance of coming third, but I just need to finish every race at least, not get any penalties, and I should be good.
There's obviously a rookie title going on behind you as well, and Ella Stevens coming back into the championship trying to prove she's faster than anybody. I guess there's a little temptation to try and beat her today.
For definite, yeah.
Nice one, Oakley. Thank you. There you go. These little kids do very little talking, but what they say is always really interesting. The juniors are out there, and now that I'm still in the pits making my way back to the commentary box, I can tell you that the rain is definitely coming down fairly hard now. Again, still not hard enough to justify wet tyres, and that's the real difficulty for the drivers, because the rain is coming in drips and drabs of drizzles, but it's not yet wet enough to make the switch to wet tyres. Andy Cox is stood beside me, championship coordinator. Andy, you've driven in these conditions 100 times with these sorts of, it's wet, but it's not wet enough.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Matt, the race director, decided to keep it on slicks for this session, and typically as they go out onto the track it starts to rain more. But you know what's important is it's the same for everybody, so this will really mix the grid up for sure. And I believe the race director has just declared it open for the seniors, so basically they need to make their choice before they come through the grid, and once they've picked, that's it. So potentially we could see a mixed up grid on the seniors, because like you say, it's not really mega wet, and it could change for the better or for the worse during in the session. But I'm glad that I'm in here with my coat on. Thank you.
Now I know we haven't got a lot of time to talk with you today, because obviously it's a big day, it's the championship finale, but you must be buzzing after, you know, finally being able to announce on Friday night the rebranding for next year. We're moving away from the birelART brand name, and it's going to be rebranded next year as the Daniel Ricciardo Series. I mean, you must be so excited for next year.
Yeah, it's been a few sleepless nights, but Daniel's a great guy. He's got a great team around him, and as he said, he's going to try and come to one of the races next year, which I think will be great for everybody. And yeah, I think it will entice and get a lot more people involved with our championship. I think everybody realises the costs in all forms of motor racing are going up all the time. You know, we seem to be able to keep things fairly static. And if everybody's on the same kit, you really do see some fantastic drivers developing. Our cadet class this year, you know, the majority of the grid were rookies at the beginning of the season. And I think we've got two rookies fighting it out today for the top rookie. So I think it's just positive all around, and I'm sure when we all see all the branding, all the karts, Ricciardo, we showed all the karts to the clients last night, so everybody's really excited.
And it's not just about the cadets and the juniors either, because of course the senior following in this paddock has always been really strong, and I think, you know, the rebranding again to the Daniel Ricciardo Series, it makes it more commercially viable for the seniors to be involved at this point as well.
Yeah, and you know, the cadets obviously turn into the juniors, and the juniors turn into the seniors. So no, it's very important for the seniors as well. And I mean, how cool is it if you're down the pub and you say, oh yeah, I do that go-karting. Yeah, I'm racing in the Daniel Ricciardo Series. It has a bit more clout now, doesn't it? So. So no, I think it's overall it's fantastic, and also it's fantastic for the sport to have Daniel Ricciardo involved personally. So positive.
Thanks, Andy. Enjoy the final day of the year. So there we go. A really exciting end to the season with the championship finale for the juniors, and it is going to be very close between Harry Graham and Callum Gunning. The title fight is definitely not decided between these two. They're going to have to work incredibly hard to keep their consistency up, when in the last 2 weekends, both of them have actually really struggled. Apologies for the Darth Vader whoop. I am passing the speakers on the home straight. That should be all sorted now. But yes, they both had some struggles in the last couple of weekends to keep that high form, as a lot of the other juniors have found their feet. And in terms of the qualifying at the moment, Toby Baldry is the fastest. He did say that in these conditions he's got an advantage over everybody else, because he's slightly taller and therefore adds a little bit more weight to the kart than some of the other drivers out there. So Toby Baldry, that thus far, has actually found so much more time than anybody else out there. You can see he's 2.4 seconds clear of Scott Huntley in qualifying. But look at the grid order. It's Baldry from Huntley, Parkinson comes up to third, from Dylan Reed, up to third now comes Morgan Cole. This is going to chop and change throughout the session because it's still wet out there. Drivers are still trying to find grip as Lewis Berry goes for a pirouette at Ogier's. Baldry, Cunliffe now second. Huntley is third. Morgan Cole is fourth from Parkinson and Whitehouse. Dylan Reed, Callum Gunning, Harry Graham, so they're 8th and 9th, the 2 title contenders, until Joe Sheppy pops up into 8th place and demotes Gunning and Graham to 9th and 10th. Then it's Alicia Parmowski from Ben Gartside, Tom Harvey, Will Vincent, Nikki Taylor, Dylan Briley, Jack Rigg, Lewis Berry, Vijay Ramlal and Tom Davison. Really tricky conditions here. You wouldn't normally see the grid separated by 8.8 seconds, but with the rain coming down in drips and drabs and everybody struggling for grip, the 2 drivers who seem to have found the most grip are Toby Baldry and Sam Cunliffe. The third one in there who has is Scott Huntley. Interesting that both Cunliffe and Huntley, who are mad Senna fans, find themselves up in 2nd and 3rd place in the timesheets. Baldry, however, has got more speed than anybody else out there at the moment as the rain continues to fall. You can see on our camera lens looking down the main straight, it is really, really tricky for the conditions as Vijay Ramlal has a little bit of a spin there at the hairpin. Where is he in the timesheets? Well, he's done very well actually. He's up to 9th place, so that could be his best qualifying performance of the year thus far. Lots of support for drivers all around the country and all around the world, of course. The birelART UK series has a fan base all over the planet. We've seen people tuning in from all sorts of corners of the globe. As Toby Baldry's still in pole position, Zach Parkinson has now gone 2nd, half a second back from Toby Baldry, with Dylan Reed now up to 3rd. Morgan Cole is up to 4th. So Cunliffe and Huntley slipped to 5th and 6th. Then it's George Whitehouse, Callum Gunning. Will Vincent's popped up to 9th place. Great news for Will Vincent. He really deserves a strong run. So really good to see him there in the top 10. Just a whisker ahead of Nikki Taylor. Now Tom Davison has come up to 10th place to displace Taylor. Joe Sheppy is 12th. Harry Graham is 13th at the moment. So really difficult session this for Harry Graham. That means that the championship fight in the junior category really is going to go down to the wire. And as we said, obviously earlier on, it's going to be an open session in terms of tyre choice for the seniors. They're going to have to try and make up their minds as to what's going to be the best tyre to go on, the slicks or the wets. And obviously all of the seniors are down there in the pits at the moment trying to make their mind up with 40 seconds left of the qualifying session in the juniors. Baldry is still at the top and unlikely to be beaten at the moment. Parkinson's 2nd from Cunliffe, who's back to 3rd. Reed is 4th, Huntley is 5th, Cole is 6th from Whitehouse, Graham, Vincent and Taylor. And I have to say, as much as the drivers will be hating it in terms of the weather conditions, I'm loving it because it's going to give us a real shake-up of the grid. Harry Graham is the one who's struggling the most of the big names, although he has now managed to make his way up into 8th position, which is ahead of Callum Gunning, who has slipped to 12th. So Harry Graham still trying to get as much grip out of the car as possible. Zach Parkinson, having gone 2nd, has now ended up off at the Ashby hairpin. There he is, trying to get the car started again. The checkered flag comes down, and Baldry improves again on his last lap to a 1:11.7. The only driver in the qualifying session to duck below 1 minute 12. So very impressive. By a second, he is faster than anybody else. Parkinson is there in 2nd for the moment. Cunliffe is 3rd. Reed is 4th. Is there going to be a final change? Huntley's come through. He will not be better than 5th. 6th place for Morgan Cole. Whitehouse in 7th. Graham is 8th at the moment from Vincent and Taylor, but lots of drivers are still to cross the line for the last time. So we'll have to see what the case is as they come over the start-finish line. Gunning goes 4th. Graham goes 6th behind Nikki Taylor in 4th. And Sam Cunliffe comes up to 2nd, very nearly beating Toby Baldry at the end there. But Toby Baldry takes pole position. Absolutely brilliant performance there from Toby Baldry. Only Dylan Reed realistically can beat him now, and I'm not sure he's going to get the job done. So for the first time this season, Toby Baldry will take the pole position, I do believe. Was that his first pole of the season? I think it is. So a brilliant performance. Yes, indeed. So Harry Graham remains the king of qualifying, as it were, with his 3 pole positions. But for the first time in 2018, Toby Baldry bags pole position for the finals. Brilliant. Sam Cunliffe in 2nd, Zach Parkinson 3rd from Nikki Taylor, Callum Gunning and Harry Graham, the 2 title protagonists on the 3rd row of the grid. Then in 7th place, it is Dylan Reed in front of Scott Huntley. 9th position is Morgan Cole in front of George Whitehouse, then Will Vincent, Alicia Parmowski, Ben Gartside and Joe Sheppy. Behind the top 14 that are on your screens if you're watching the live stream, it's Vijay Ramlal ahead of Lewis Berry, then Tom Davison, Tom Harvey, Jack Rigg and Dylan Briley. The lighter drivers really struggling in the wet conditions. Toby Baldry smiling wide. Absolutely fantastic result and a really good performance, and as is celebrated by Maddie Isaacs on the Facebook stream, superb. First ever pole position. What a great job. 1:11.7, the only driver in the field to dip below 1:12. So now it is an open house for the qualifying session for the seniors. What tyres are they going to choose? Well, times have changed, and I think it's fair to say that the weather is definitely now wet enough for wet tyres. As you can see, pretty much all of the juniors have gone onto wet tyres. However, I'm actually going to find Sam Cunliffe's card. Is he on slick? No, he's not. He's on wets. I thought we might get history repeating itself after Shennington last year. That was a crazy race, and I have a feeling we're going to get a few more of those today. But a fascinating battle we're going to have in the championship. That man, Harry Graham, leads the points coming into this race, and opposite him on the other side of the grid is going to be his closest rival, Callum Gunning. So it's going to be a really exciting battle for the championship. Callum Gunning currently in conversation with Toby Baldry about the battle ahead. But I'm going to try and creep in there and have a word with, for the first time ever, the man on pole position, Toby Baldry. Toby, if you were ever going to get pole position, to do it in that sort of style, that must be absolutely delightful.
Well, everyone was taking the mick when I went out on slicks at Shennington. Well, who's laughing now?
That's the thing, you've done so much running in the last couple of weekends in difficult conditions on what looks like the wrong tyre, but you've learnt so much in these 2 weekends.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a lot of fun on slicks. You learn a lot of car control, so, and just hit the curbs and you'll be all right.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what you can do in this one, Toby. Go get that win.
Cheers.
A really exciting weekend this is going to be now, because it's all topsy-turvy in the junior brigade. But the same way that we have a battle for the rookie title in the cadets, we also have one in the juniors. I need to get out of the way so Zach Parkinson doesn't run me over. But we're going to quickly go in and have a word with our rookie points leader coming into this weekend, Alicia Barmowski. Alicia, this could not be a tougher weekend now with the conditions changing as they are.
Yeah, it's crazy. Tyre choices in qualifying, we had to go on slicks. So just hopefully go forward from now on. Yeah, see what happens.
So with everybody now obviously going for the wet tyres, that kind of negates any advantage from anybody. So what sort of a race can you expect to have in the middle of the pack?
It's going to be chaos. Just hopefully go forward. Yeah.
I certainly hope so. Thank you very much. It's going to be absolutely chaos, as you said, but there's a few drivers who really excel in these sorts of conditions when the chips are down. I want to have a quick word with Morgan Cole before they start the engines. Morgan, this latter half of the season has been very strong. There's been some really good points results from you, some good efforts from all of the drivers around you. This is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, I think qualifying was good. It could have been better, but the last lap just didn't come together really. But hopefully I can make some places in this weather and get up near the front near Toby.
Looking forward to see what you can do, mate. Have a good one.
Cheers.
I'm not sure how much time we've got left before we have to clear the grid, because of course we're running a little behind on schedule because of the rain, but I think you'll agree, looking at the starting grid, which will come up on your screen in a few seconds time, this is going to be a good one. And of course in the junior contingent we'll see some really exciting battles from all of the drivers up and down the grid. There's points on offer and a championship to be decided. The gap between Harry Graham and Callum Gunning is only 15 points on dropped scores, so it could swing either way. Both of them have a stake in this title fight. Both of them have the expectation that they can bring out the big guns in the final weekend of the season, and both of them have what it takes to get the job done. So there is plenty to play for. Everybody very high in anticipation for a cracking race. Alicia Barmowski's words, not mine, it's going to be chaos. I think you might be right. This is one heck of a circuit now to go and play this sort of game on at Whilton Mill. Greasy and tricky technically at the best of times, but now that we've got slippery, miserable, miserly conditions in very changeable weather above us here at Whilton Mill, this could be a really exciting battle. And with only 3 races left in the 2018 birelART UK Junior Series, it's all to play for. So many drivers can finish on a good position here. All of the places in the top 10 are still up for grabs, but mathematically, only 2 drivers can still become champion, Harry Graham and Callum Gunning. It's very, very tight at the top, but everybody is up for a close fight, and it's all to play for. So much battling to come from the juniors in the heat ahead of us. Just looking up and down the grid again, everybody is on those wet tyres. They've decided not to gamble on the slicks. Oh, apart from one, and that is Dylan Brierley. Now that's interesting. Dylan Brierley's decided, you know what? I'm going to roll the dice. If it's right, Dylan, you're about to take an amazing move up the field. We're all with you, mate. Let's hope that this is going to be potentially the upset of the season. And considering how quickly the circuit dries here, it could end up being the smart move. I mean, Sam Cunliffe played the most amazing roll of the dice last year at Shenington when it started the race with a completely wet track. But thanks to the heat of the air and the winds around the circuit, the track dried after about 6 laps, and anybody who was on dry tyres was suddenly 12 seconds a lap faster than anybody on wets. And he came from about 40 seconds back to win that race by a good 15 seconds or so. So anything can happen. The great thing about UK karting is you just never know. So we wait for the signal to get underway. Obviously a slight delay in proceedings, and we're a little behind schedule as well because of the delay from earlier on from the cadet start. But a really exciting battle ahead of us from the birelART Junior Cadets. Toby Baldry and Sam Cunliffe on the front row of the starting grid from Zach Parkinson and Nicky Taylor. And then, of course, we have Callum Gunning and Harry Graham sharing the third row of the grid. Dylan Reed and Scott Huntley, always at the sharp end of a difficult race where tricky conditions are concerned. And Morgan Cole beside George Whitehouse, another one who's had a really good weekend thus far. And then, of course, we have a few more to talk about. A very good performance indeed in qualifying from Will Vincent, his best of the season. And we're really excited to see whether he can break into the top 10 and stay there alongside Alicia Parmowski on the grid. The engines go on. They're all on wets except one. That one is Dylan Brierley from the back. You never know. He may be the Marcus Winkelhock of the grid. He could go from last to first. If slicks are the way to go, he could dominate. So the drivers head out on circuit now. Here is the grid once again on your screens. And incredible to think that of the 20 drivers out there on the starting grid, only one of them has elected to go onto slicks. This could be a massive, massive upset. Toby Baldry and Sam Cunliffe on the front row of the grid. Zach Parkinson and Nicky Taylor on the second row. Callum Gunning and Harry Graham on row 3. Dylan Reed and Scott Huntley are on the 4th row, and Morgan Cole is beside George Whitehouse. Now this is where I need to get my Met Office weather system up in front of me again, because as far as my weather forecast tells me, we are pretty much now not expecting too much rain. In fact, actually, according to the weather system in front of me now, we are going to get a bit more rain, but not until 12. And that is 25 minutes away. So, if that is the case, then the circuit could dry out rather dramatically. So obviously, we may well see the fairy tale scenario for Dylan Brierley, who's at the back of the grid on slick tyres, everybody else on wets. At the moment, Dylan Brierley is just trying to go as fast as he can to join the back of the grid again, because on the slicks, at the moment, he's not really finding the grip to close up on the rest of the field. So he's trying to catch up with them as fast as possible and rejoin the back of the queue. But if he's called this right, in a couple of minutes' time, the circuit could dry out enough for the slick tyres to be the right choice. And if that's the case, then Dylan Brierley might just be the man to break through the field. If that's not the case, then we've got a very exciting race regardless, because looking at the grid, we've got Baldry and Cunliffe, Parkinson and Taylor, and then the two title protagonists, Gunning and Harry Graham, on the 3rd row of the grid. Whatever happens, this is going to be a sensational race, but it could well be the upset of the season. Let's find out. here at Whilton Mill. The first race of the weekend in birelART Juniors. The engine revs will rise, and it looks like we could get a clean start. Yes, we do. Toby Baldry's got a flyer. Parkinson in a second place. Cracking getaway as they make through the first corner. A really good start at the front of the field from Cunliffe as he nets into third place. Gunning's got past Nicky Taylor. Harry Graham's trying to do the same thing as they head up to Christmas. And Nicky Taylor is going to dive up the inside of Callum Gunning to go for the place. He's not made it stick, and that could give Harry Graham a shot at him into Ashby, and he'll want to do it fairly early on. Morgan Cole's had a terrific getaway as Nicky Taylor now gets on the inside of Callum Gunning and gets the place. Morgan Cole now tucking in behind Harry Graham as the field knits its way through. Now, looking at the pace that the drivers have got at the moment, Dylan Brierley is not falling several seconds back down the order in one lap. He's staying relatively with the field. He'll probably drop about 10 seconds back initially, but I think he may have made the right call. Long term, it could still be the best tyre to be on. So let's see what happens. Baldry leads it. Parkinson second, Cunliffe third from Taylor, Gunning, Cole, Graham, Reed, Huntley, Davison, Whitehouse, Vincent, Gartside, Ramlau, Palmowski, Berry, Sheppy, Harvey, Rigg, and no surprises for the moment, Dylan Brierley. Here goes Morgan Cole up the inside of Callum Gunning and gets through. Brilliant racing from Morgan Cole, having got past first Graham and now Gunning. He is charging his way forward. A lot of slides through Ashby as there are still 2 or 3 different racing lines. Tom Davison's on the charge. He's managed to make his way past Scott Huntley, and Davison is absolutely rocketing through the field. So Davison doing well in these conditions as Taylor gets up to third past Sam Cunliffe. So Nicky Taylor's now in third, trying to fend off Cunliffe to the outside, tucking in for the boot. Up and over the curves. And Dylan Brierley is still there or thereabouts. He's only a few seconds back, but give it a couple of moments and Cunliffe spins out of the final turn. Cunliffe spins out of the final corner. So he's now got to wait for the whole field to go by. He does, although Dylan Brierley hasn't gone through. So a spin out of the final turn for Sam Cunliffe. And he drops to the back. But out in front, it is Toby Baldry. Zach Parkinson second and Nicky Taylor third. If it finishes like this, that would be an amazing result in and of itself as Taylor dives for Parkinson and gets second place. And there's a spin in the first corner. It's Dylan Brierley as he tries to get the slicks up to temperature. He gets going again. But Nicky Taylor is the fastest man on track, a 54.797 the last lap, and he's up to second. Can Nicky Taylor take his third straight victory? This would be an amazing run out of the final turn. Toby Baldry still looking good. He's still looking for his first victory in birelART UK. Nicky Taylor is behind him trying to close up. Parkinson third, Cole fourth, Gunning fifth, Graham sixth. That's great news for Callum Gunning. Trying to take points off Harry Graham, and he's definitely going about it. And there's a spin at turn one. That is Ben Gartside, I think, going off and has rejoined. So a bit of a moment there as he overshoots at turn one, but continues on. So not having lost a massive amount of time after all. Dylan Brierley comes across the line, now about 28 seconds back from Sam Cunliffe in 19th. But if the track dries out, he's going to be the man on the right tyre. He just doesn't want to lose too much time in the process. Baldry now being caught by Nicky Taylor, who's done a 53.5 compared to Baldry on a 54.4. So Nicky Taylor, the fastest in these conditions for definite. Here they come again, and it's Baldry. Taylor catching him, tooth and nail. Parkinson, Cole, Gunning, Graham, Reed. Then it is Davison in 8th, Whitehouse in 9th, and Scott Huntley in 10th ahead of the lead rookie, which is Will Vincent. A brilliant race this. Oh, and a spin from Vijay Ramlau. Ramlau spins at turn one, and somehow everybody avoids him. But a big moment there for Ramlau as he loses the card into turn one and gets him back. Nicky Taylor's going for Toby Baldry. They're side by side as Nicky Taylor goes for the lead on Baldry. Baldry holds him back. That's the first time Taylor's not made a move stick. Up the inside of Osiers, and he's through. Baldry trying to get him on the undercut. Still with him, and there's not a lot of room for two. But Taylor's completed the move. Nicky Taylor through into the lead. What a great bit of driving from Nicky. Absolutely, really rock and roll racing there out of the final corners. And Nicky Taylor now takes the lead from Baldry. Parkinson third. Cole is in fourth. Gunning in fifth ahead of Dylan Reed and Harry Graham slipping to seventh now. Davison is eighth. Whitehouse is ninth. Joe Sheppy comes up to 10th. Sam Cunliffe has made his way through up into 15th place now. So still a really interesting race, but Nicky Taylor is the fastest man on track at the moment. But looking at Dylan Brierley, he seems to have grip at last, and the kart is starting to go faster. He's just done a 55.3, which is comparable to the midfield, but I think he's going to run out of time before the slick tyre really works. However, the elites will be looking at his times, wondering if they should switch to slicks. So a lot of the elites could well be patting Dylan Brierley on the back for doing all the homework. Nicky Taylor leads, Toby Baldry second, Parkinson third, up to fourth has now come Callum Gunning. He's charging for the title and he's doing everything he needs to right now. Callum Gunning pushing hard to gain points from Harry Graham, and this is going full guns blazing. A really good run so far from Gunning in fourth place. Fastest lap of the race comes from Joe Sheppy now. He does a 52.8. Dylan Brierley on a 55.3 for the last lap. What has he done this time as he comes out of the final turn? The elites will be keeping an eye on it as Dylan Reed makes the move on Morgan Cole. That's a 54.4 from Dylan Brierley. That's comparable with the top six now. So Dylan Brierley is getting there with the slick tyres, but unfortunately it's going to be too little too late. But Nicky Taylor is leading the race and looking pretty good at it at the moment. Here's the midfield battle. Scott Huntley in front of Sam Cunliffe. So Sam Cunliffe's made up 2 places on that lap, past Vincent, past Palmowski, and now on the inside takes the place from Scott Huntley. He gets through as now Will Vincent and Alicia Palmowski are together leading the rookie charge as they try and come through on Scott Huntley, with right on the back of them, Tom Harvey. Then it is Gartside, Rigg, Berry, Ramlal and Dylan Brierley, who is going faster and faster all the time as Nicky Taylor puts in a new fastest lap, 52.6, as Alicia Palmowski hangs on to the place, trying to duke away from Tom Harvey. But Nicky Taylor is pulling away at the front of the field and what is looking likely to be his 3rd straight win. A month ago, he had never won a race. Now he's won a pre-final, now he's won a final, and it looks like he's going to get the hat-trick with his first heat win in the birelART UK. As up the inside, Vincent tries to make the move on Scott Huntley, and Alicia Palmowski's trying to get on the undercut. Hasn't made the move stick. Tom Harvey right in behind her. They come across the line again. George Whitehouse looking very strong now in behind Harry Graham as Morgan Cole appears to be holding them up slightly. Callum Gunning, though, is being caught by Dylan Reed. So Dylan Reed's not done for the day yet by any stretch as another new fastest lap comes in, this time from Sam Cunliffe, who does a 51.9. Such an amazing battle this is turning into. We said it was going to be a fascinating race, and it's full of unpredictability. Morgan Cole running well there in front of Harry Graham and George Whitehouse. We drop back as there is Sam Cunliffe battling away with Tom Davison. Then it's these three, Huntley, Vincent and Palmowski. Will Vincent trying to get up the inside. Alicia Palmowski next up. Can Will Vincent get his move through? Into the last lap goes Nicky Taylor. What a lead he's got. We all knew it was either going to be Toby Baldry sprinting away or someone coming up with the goods. And Nicky Taylor has done so, but can Toby Baldry hang on a second? Because Parkinson, Gunning and Reed are all coming for him on this last lap. Has he pushed those wets too hard, trying to get away at the early part of the race? They're now going to come down towards Ashby Hairpin. Can Baldry hang on a second? Parkinson's going to make a late lunge. No, you're not getting through there. Toby Baldry hangs on for dear life, and now that's Zach Parkinson losing the place to Callum Gunning, who's up to 3rd. This is perfect for Gunning, who now gets up the inside of Baldry. Baldry chops him across. So Gunning's going to be on the podium. Absolutely brilliant as Reed makes the move on the inside of Parkinson, and Nicky Taylor wins as Gunning goes for second on Baldry in the boot. Taylor wins it. Brilliant. But who's going to be second? It's going to be Gunning from Baldry, who just gets 3rd. Parkinson and Reed are next. What a finish. Graham comes home 6th in front of Whitehouse and Morgan Cole. Joe Sheppy 9th, and Sam Cunliffe fights back to 10th. Who's going to be the leading rookie home? It's going to be, for the first time this year, Will Vincent. Brilliant race from Will. Absolutely sensational from Will. He's suddenly brought the magic. An absolutely great drive. But at the very end of the race, it's going to be, sadly, Dylan Brierley. The gamble didn't work, but he had to give it a go. And in terms of his lap times, he did get in the 54s, which is comparable to Toby Baldry at the front of the field. So Maybe slick tyres are the choice for the elites. Nicky Taylor wins, Callum Gunning second from Toby Baldry in third. Parkinson is fourth from Dylan Reed and Harry Graham. Then George Whitehouse, Morgan Cole, Joe Sheppy and Sam Cunliffe in the top 10. The leading rookies behind Tom Davison and Scott Huntley are Will Vincent and Alicia Parmowski. Harvey 15th from Gartside in 16th, then Ramlal, Berry, Rigg and Dylan Briley. Fantastic racing from the juniors and a cracking win for the third race in a row for Nicky Taylor. So now the attention turns and focuses once again to the juniors, and after what was a thrilling earlier race, it really sets us up for a pretty exciting battle in the junior brigade. Now I need to do some mathematics here, so I'm quite glad that it's a little bit wet again out there, because I need to do some maths and figure out who's done what, because the junior battle, of course, is very tight mathematically. Nicky Taylor picked up the last heat win of the season in the earlier race, and that gives him the maximum 65 points. Callum Gunning, crucially, picked up 62 for second place. Toby Baldry was third and got out 59 points from his heat. This is also, of course, going to set the grid for the last pre-final of the year, so important to run through it now while we got the chance. Zach Parkinson will line up fourth on the grid and got 57 points in the bag as a result of it. Dylan Reed, who you just saw there on the live stream, was fifth and therefore ended up with 56. There's Harry Graham, who came through sixth in the heat earlier on, and as championship leader it was critical for him to stay relatively in touch, and interestingly he had 55 points. So on the dropped scores he remains just 8 points ahead of Callum Gunning after that heat, and that's the important thing. So for the moment Harry Graham still leads the championship. With 2 races to go, the gap has definitely come down to just 8 points. But there are 2 races to go, and it's all to do for Harry Graham. With Gunning starting second and Harry Graham starting 6th in this heat, there is an awful lot to do before he can even think about winning a championship. George Whitehouse starting 7th on the grid for this one, having claimed 54 points from his previous heat to do so. A really good performance from George Whitehouse in the earlier heat, and he can be very happy with the way that's played out. Morgan Cole was 8th across the line, and that gives him 53 points, of course, in the Drivers' Championship as well. There's Joe Sheppy, who had another good result for, coming through to 9th place, and for a while was actually the fastest man in the previous heat as well, as he searches for his 3rd top 3 finish of the season, having got a good result at Landau. There's Tom Davison, who's fought his way through to 11th position in the previous race with a really stonkingly good drive to fight his way forward. He was just beaten to the top 10 by Sam Cunliffe, who you saw a moment ago, charging his way forward. But this man is having a great weekend. Will Vincent, the fastest rookie from the first race, and came through in 13th to get maximum points for the rookies. Alicia Parmowski is leading the points table for the rookies, of course, as they come into this final race weekend of the season. So the points scored are very important to all of the drivers at this stage. Scott Huntley came away with only 49 from that heat, so I'm just trying. I've got my little algorithm of points scored from each of the races in front of me, so I'm going to quickly fill in the totals from the previous race, and that will tell me where roughly the drivers are in terms of the championship standings and how many major changes there have been. Importantly, Alicia Parmowski scored 4 more points in that race than Lewis Berry did. So in terms of the points tally, it definitely keeps her still very much in contention. A real shame for Dylan Briley, who made the gamble to go onto slick tyres. And in theory, it was a very calculated gamble. It just ended up being 10 minutes too soon. But that is the way things go sometimes in racing. Now, as far as the first heat is concerned, the championship standings in terms of position have not changed. But as we go into the final 2 races of the season, Harry Graham still leads Callum Gunning, but now only by 8 points with 2 races to go. Scott Huntley is only 5 points ahead of Nicky Taylor now, so that could be a change for 3rd position in the Drivers' Championship. Only about 19 points back is Toby Baldry, so he's got some good points in the bag from that previous heat, and he's still very much in the mix. Basically, 3rd position in the championship is still very much up for grabs with 6 drivers still competing for it. Scott Huntley, Nicky Taylor, Toby Baldry, Sam Cunliffe, Dylan Reed and Tom Harvey all have a chance to be in 3rd position in the championship at the end of this race weekend. So they're all pushing for it. But there's only 2 who can win the championship, and that is Harry Graham and Callum Gunning. But the race victory for Nicky Taylor means he now has 3 wins on the board and 7 podium finishes with it. And obviously, having been 2nd position in that previous heat, Callum Gunning picks up his 14th top 3 finish of the season, which matches Harry Graham. So they now both have 14 podiums apiece. And that's how close it is, just 8 points in it between the 2 of them now. And the man, of course, who came home in 3rd place, Toby Baldry, picked up his 8th podium finish of the season in that previous race. So there's so much at stake here. Callum Gunning knows what he has to do. He's 4 places on the grid ahead of his main rival with 8 points to make up. But these 2 races are now maximum points on the board. 130 points for the victory, 127 for 2nd, 124 for 3rd. Now there's 6 points between 1st and 3rd place. So all he's got to do is finish 2 places ahead of Harry for the next 2 races, and he can snatch the championship lead away right at the end. But this man, Nicky Taylor, from pole position, has got a much bigger mission on his hands. Overtakes Scott Huntley in the Drivers' Championship. So far, so good. At the moment, 3 wins in a row definitely gives him a lot of confidence to build on. Toby Baldry, in these greasy conditions, has come so close to a victory, it's almost starting to be painful. Now, he can surely get the job done. Dylan Reed has always been right up at the sharp end, and he, of course, had a victory earlier in the season, so he knows how to get the job done. And it's about staying consistent and staying hungry, and he's very good at that. So this is going to be a really exciting battle for the drivers ahead of us. There's a lot of key players who are knocking on the door, though, so we'll see an awful lot of drivers charging their way forward as the whistle goes, and the green flag will fly at the end of the pit lane. And the championship fight between Callum Gunning and Harry Graham, just 8 points between them with Graham at the head. This is going to be such an amazing 2 races for the juniors into the pre-final. So the battle is joined once again. Harry Graham and Callum Gunning for the title. But it's Nicky Taylor on pole position from Callum Gunning in 2nd position alongside him on the front row, with Toby Baldry and Zach Parkinson running together on the 2nd row of the starting grid. Then on row 3, it is going to be Dylan Reed and the other championship contender, Harry Graham, who leads the title fight by just 8 points going into the last 2 races of the season. And if I'm correct, then it started raining again. This is not good if you are on slick tyres. I have a feeling everybody now is once again on the wets. But it's certainly starting to feel like there is rain in the air once more. So this is not good if you are on slicks. George Whitehouse and Morgan Cole on row 4. Then it is Joe Sheppy and Sam Cunliffe, Tom Davison and Scott Huntley on the 6th row of the starting grid. Then Will Vincent and Alicia Parmowski, the 2 rookie drivers. Will Vincent picking up his first rookie win of the season. Then it is Tom Harvey alongside Ben Gartside, Vijay Ramlal beside Lewis Berry, and then Jack Rigg beside Dylan Briley. But as far as the championship is concerned, 8 points between Graham and Gunning, and in the rookie table, Alicia Parmowski has a solid advantage now over Lewis Berry of 36 points. So it's looking good for Parmowski to wrap up the rookie crown. She just needs to stay focused and keep banging in those results. 36 points is a long way back. So hopefully, as long as there's no DNFs and there's no major catastrophes for Alicia Parmowski today, she should seal the rookie championship. But you never know. Rain coming down again a little bit here at Whilton Mill. It's only spitting, but it's going to make the circuit greasy once again. So obviously, there's a lot to play for and a lot of drama ahead of us, as the drivers will be wanting to finish off their season on a high. But I have a feeling this is going to have all sorts of thrills and spills and drama and tension written all over it as we try and wrap up the junior title, which is almost certainly going to go to the final race of the season. So Nicky Taylor, pole position. Callum Gunning, second. Third, Toby Baldry. Fourth, Zach Parkinson. Then Reed, Graham, Whitehouse, Cole, Sheppy, Cunliffe, Davison and Huntley. The rookies, Vincent and Parmowski. Harvey and Gartside. Ramlal, Berry, Rigg and Brierley. 2 races left in the season. 8 points for the championship fight. And it literally could go either way. They both deserve it. They've both worked hard for it. It's up to them to settle it. The most successful driver of the 2 from the pre-finals has been Harry Graham, but let's see what happens here at Whilton. Go, go, go! Cracking start from Gunning, but it's Nicky Taylor who gets the lead, no problem. They tiptoe into the first corner. They need to be a little bit more cautious than they realised, because there's very little grip indeed, and they're sliding around all over the shop. But Nicky Taylor leads it. Gunning is going to lose second to Baldry. Baldry gets around the outside and takes second place. Graham's got a terrible start. Several karts have got past him already. And there's a spin at the back of the field. That looks like Lewis Berry, who has spun around, and that is not good as far as the novice championship is concerned. So now they're going to have to continue to charge forward. But in through the corners, slipping and sliding, Nicky Taylor's run a bit wide, and out in front, that is a charge forward for Parkinson. Parkinson leads the race. Zach Parkinson leads it, but not for long. Here comes Scott Huntley diving at the inside of Nicky Taylor. He leads it now. They're all over the place. Nobody's got any grip. But Scott Huntley has got out in front. Parkinson second, up to third for Toby Baldry. Will he get there? Taylor's running out wide. Baldry's running out wider, but we'll get the switch back on the inside. Nobody's got any grip. Scott Huntley is on the wet tyres by the look of it. And as a result of that, he's got plenty of grip to contend with. Parkinson into turn 1 in second, Baldry third, Taylor fourth, then it's Gunning, Reed, Whitehouse, Davison. For Graham, it's all gone terribly wrong. He's down to 12th. He needs to charge forward. Zach Parkinson running out in second place at the moment behind Scott Huntley. But Scott Huntley laps up these conditions. He's a massive Senna fan, and the way he goes about his racing is very similar. He loves driving in the wet. He's very composed, very calm, and he will be loving running out in the lead. Morgan Cole dives up the inside of Cunliffe, doesn't have the traction to get out of the corner faster, and he's going to lose out to Tom Davison, I think, round the outside. Davison loses ground in the braking zone. Oh, sorry, that's Joe Sheppy, my apologies. So Sheppy battling away with Morgan Cole. Sam Cunliffe trying to get alongside Dylan Reed. Will Vincent is chopped across by Sheppy, and Graham's trying to come around the outside. So Will Vincent in these conditions doing an absolutely sterling job. Great work from the rookie. Graham is trying to come back, but Scott Huntley leads the way at the moment. Zach Parkinson second. 7.5 seconds back. Scott Huntley's going to romp the way to this victory at this stage. I think everybody pretty much is on the slicks except for Scott Huntley, and that is why Scott Huntley is disappearing out in front. Toby Baldry sliding around, so everybody on slicks except for Huntley, who's on wets. So it's a reverse Dylan Brierley, and it's working beautifully for Scott Huntley, who leads the way by 7.5 seconds already. So now Huntley is looking good for a victory, but it could all change if the rain stops, then he's suddenly going to be on the wrong tyre. Parkinson, though, doing a fantastic job in second ahead of Toby Baldry. Gunning is currently 5th. Where is Graham? He is in 12th position behind Joe Sheppy and Will Vincent. So he's really struggling here. 7th behind Whitehouse is Cunliffe, then it's Reed, Cole. Vincent dives up the inside of Joe Sheppy and gets the place. Graham needs to make up places sooner rather than later, as Sheppy and Vincent dice for 10th position. Up to second comes Baldry now. He's got past Parkinson. A really sensational run so far as the drivers continue to battle away. Scott Huntley leads it. Second is now Baldry, third is Parkinson. They both overshoot into Christmas, and Nicky Taylor's gone off. Taylor's gone off on the grass. Nicky Taylor onto the grass at Christmas and has dropped back now behind Callum Gunning in 4th and George Whitehouse up to 5th. Sam Cunliffe is the next one in. It's looking more and more increasingly likely that Nicky Taylor won't get 5 wins in a row to end the season the way that Callum Gunning started it. Because Scott Huntley is romping away out front on wet tyres. It was totally the right call. Everybody else on slicks. But Scott Huntley has been proven right. He comes through and goes into lap 5. This is a bit like Michael Schumacher in Monaco in '97. He's just pulling away to the tune of 7 seconds a lap on the rest of the field. Parkinson still second. Baldry still second. Parkinson third. Fourth place is now Gunning ahead of Whitehouse. Then it is Cunliffe and Taylor. Reed. And then behind him is Cole, Sheppy, Vincent and Graham. Graham is trying to make progress, but it's almost impossible at this stage. So you've just got to try and find as much grip as possible in the dry, on the dry slicks in wet conditions. And Cole pulls across on Joe Sheppy, doesn't even realise he's there. I wonder if Sheppy has, well, I thought Sheppy might have stalled the engine there. Graham spins! Harry Graham spins out of Christmas! Harry Graham spins it! Now almost certainly that is going to change the championship standings. He's lost so much time and he had to go the wrong way to get the kart restarted. Now that is very dramatic. All of a sudden, Callum Gunning is going to make a massive gain in the Drivers' Championship. Is Callum Gunning about to take back the lead of the Drivers' Championship in unbelievably dramatic circumstances here? Scott Huntley leads it. Baldry is second, 21 seconds now behind Scott Huntley. Parkinson third, sets a new personal best. Gunning is fourth, Whitehouse fifth from Cunliffe, Taylor, Dylan Reed, Morgan Cole and Joe Sheppy. It's Will Vincent now in 10th. Then it is Joe Sheppy from Guardside, Parmowski, Tom Harvey, Jack Rigg. Then it is Lewis Berry. Then it is Harry Graham, who's down to 17th. This is an absolute disaster for Harry Graham. He couldn't have had it any worse than this. So that means that I'm trying to do the math very quickly to try and calculate how things would look in terms of the championship standings if it were to finish like this, or at least similar to this. A 17th place finish only gives you 109 points from a pre-final. And Callum Gunning at the moment is sat in 4th position now. A 4th place finish, I'm trying to remember rightly, a 4th place finish I'm fairly certain gives you 122. So in terms of the championship fight, if it was to finish like this, then Harry Graham would be only 5 points ahead of Callum Gunning on dropped scores. It tightens up again. So for the moment, it's not disastrous for Harry Graham. A spin for Vijay Ramlal as the rain is getting heavier. The rain is getting heavier out there. So Ramlal loses another place as Scott Huntley laps Dylan Brierley. So Scott Huntley is looking like an absolute genius right now, being on wet tyres when everyone else is on slicks. But it's not really anybody's fault. What this means, though, is that Callum Gunning is going to gain big time in terms of points. And the gap, oh, that's a spin for Dylan Reed, right in front of the camera. So Dylan Reed spins off. He's going to try and get back on without losing too many places, but Sheppy's going to get onto the inside. This is a really tricky scenario now for the drivers. They've just got to cope in the slick conditions as the rain properly comes down now. Now it's really heavy. It's not drizzle anymore, it's a real rain shower. And if I'm a Super Elite, I'm grabbing my wet tyres now, because they're going to need them. Sam Cunliffe spins off at the boot now. He's dropped a few places. This is an absolute lottery now. Anybody could finish up in second behind Scott Huntley. For the moment, it's Baldry in front of Parkinson and Gunning. 4th for Gunning. Where is Harry Graham now? I think he's made up a couple of places, hasn't he? So he wouldn't lose too much, but he'll still lead the championship if it stays like this, but only by 5 points. So Gunning will make a 3-point gain. So Gunning could really do with moving up a couple of places to take the lead of the championship, but he's not really able to run at the same pace as Baldry and Parkinson. So he's got to hope that they make a mistake. But for the moment, Scott Huntley is over half a minute ahead. Absolutely fantastic stuff from this race. It's such a knife edge. The entire field are on slick tyres in what are now a proper rain torrential conditions, except one man, and that's Scott Huntley, who leads the race by over half a minute. There's Toby Baldry in second. He is leading the slick shod runners, and this is all thanks to his run in the practice session at Shennington a month ago. He went out in the wet on slicks and did an entire session of learning what the kart does. So now he's in second based on all of that hard work. Parkinson is third. Gunning is in fourth place. Fifth now is George Whitehouse. Morgan Cole is sixth, tippy-toeing around. Will Vincent is seventh in front of Nicky Taylor. Will Vincent is turning into the star of the race here. The novice is just charging his way through. Absolutely terrific racing as everybody just tries their best to tippy-toe around. Who's that stopped out at the top of the hill? Is that... I'm trying to figure out who that is at the top. That's Scott Huntley! Scott Huntley having a problem. Now, has he been able to keep going? Yes, but he's a bit slower than he was. What happened there to Scott Huntley? He finally comes through into the last lap, but that was a real problem for Scott Huntley. He very nearly broke down. So the gap is going to be marginally smaller than it was, but Scott Huntley so nearly broke down there. My goodness. Toby Baldry now comes through. He lost over 20 seconds in that, Scott Huntley. Baldry's still second, Parkinson third, from Gunning in fourth. They've just got to tippy-toe their way home. But Scott Huntley is going to take a crushing victory. He so nearly didn't, though. Something was definitely going wrong with the car. So Scott Huntley is very lucky as he comes up to lap Tom Davison. There's not a lot Tom Davison can do about this except let him go. You'll just want to finish the race, to be honest. But what a performance from Scott Huntley. The Rainmaster does an absolutely amazing job, a crushing blow, and Scott Huntley, out of the final turn, takes a brilliant, brilliant victory. Absolute dominance from Huntley. The wet tyres, the right way to go in the end. And for second position, well, for the remaining positions, it's all still about just who comes home. Toby Baldry is gonna come home, though, in second position, and that's gonna give him a massive point score of another 127, and that will put him to 1986 in the points tally. Baldry second, and Parkinson a brilliant, brilliant third. Fantastic job for Zach Parkinson. His best result of the season. Fourth place for Callum Gunning, though, and that's a significant one as far as the championship is concerned. 122 points on the board. George Whitehouse is fifth over the line from Nicky Taylor and Morgan Cole. Vincent is eighth. Cunliffe is ninth. Joe Sheppy is 10th. Gartside is 11th place. Alicia Parmowski comes home for 12th. Tom Harvey is going to come home 13th in front of Dylan Reed, and up to 15th on the last lap comes Harry Graham. Now that is important championship-wise. What does that do for the points tally in the championship? I need to go through how much 15th place is worth in terms of points. It's worth 111. So looking through as we are at the moment, Harry Graham leads the championship by 5 points going into the last race of the season. And Scott Huntley has broken down on the final lap, on the rolling lap. He's toured in, the car was breaking down and failing. Scott Huntley wins the race, but has broken down on the last lap. What a way to end it. It doesn't change a thing. Scott Huntley will be the race winner. Toby Baldry second, third for Zach Parkinson, fourth for Callum Gunning, fifth for George Whitehouse, sixth for Nicky Taylor, seventh is Morgan Cole, then it's Will Vincent, Sam Cunliffe, Joe Sheppy, Ben Gartside, Parmowski, Harvey, Reed and Harry Graham. Wow, drama aplenty again. But what a sensational end to the season we are going to have now, with the last race of the season upon us in the juniors. And Harry Graham will now only lead the championship to Callum Gunning by 5 points, with all to do. Absolutely unbelievable end to this race. And Scott Huntley is pushing his car in rather than rolling it in. What a way to win a race for Scott Huntley. So nearly the cart let him down, but it just got him to the end of the race with a victory. This is a very different form of victory lap. Jenson Button Monaco 2009 was one thing, but this is completely different. Pushing your cart home to victory lane. Come on, Scott, you can get there. Unfortunately, it can't get there on its own steam. So Scott's having to use all of his muscle. He must be worn out anyway, having to push the cart home. Go on, Scott. Go on, Scott. Papa Huntley is there. He's probably elated about the victory. Well, look at that. That's a wonderful moment. We won, son. Come on, let's get it home. Oh, I love karting so much. It's a very nice moment there from the Huntleys as they bring their brilliant McLaren Senna tribute liveried kart home. A wonderful, wonderful end. Riley Price is there to congratulate Scott Huntley for the victory, as is Mackenzie Taylor. Scott Huntley absolutely exhausted. Will Checkley is the first to greet him. Absolutely fantastic. But I noticed that Will Checkley is not in his race suit. I wonder if there's too much damage to the kart after his spin in qualifying. So Will Checkley is not out in his race suit, not looking likely to go out into the kart. So Scott Huntley is absolutely delighted with the victory. That was hard work, wasn't it, Scott? Brilliant race, brilliant win. Well, one thing I can tell you is that the juniors, of course, are going to be very, very close indeed. And somebody is going to join me and have a bit of a conversation and get out of the rain. Of course, that's the only forfeit, Will Martin. If you want to join me in the commentary box, you're going to have to say something, not just get out of the rain. That was amazing, wasn't it, in the cadets?
Yeah, it was a brilliant race, very close. Rookie championship's going to be really close. Yeah, we're going to have to do some maths for that one.
Yes, I'm currently working at it on my tables, having to look at what's been going on over the course of the day. But this junior final between Callum Gunning and Harry Graham, it's now just 5 points between them. Callum Gunning's made up 10 points over the course of the first two races. Can he overturn it?
It's going to be really close. We're not going to be able to tell until the race is finished. But from the last race, it's blown the championship wide open. He's caught so much. But yeah, we're going to have to see and find out.
It is going to be a very close run to the end of the season. I can tell everybody who performed best over the first heats. I have to do this by heats, which is the annoying thing, because obviously, as you do the calculations through the season, I'm having to split the three grids up. I can tell you that Archie Heron scored 4 more points than Craig Evans did over the course of the first heat. I know that's not very helpful, but I am getting there slowly and surely because we have to go through the pre-finals as well. While the juniors are getting ready, we know what the situation is between the junior drivers, of course. 5 points between Callum Gunning and Harry Graham going into the last race of the season. So I now have to try and figure out who has done what between Archie Heron and Craig Evans, and it's not easy when it's been so close. So we now need to do the mathematics. It's been really good between them all season because both of them have been just as good as each other.
Yeah, they've both performed outstandingly. It's been really good, really close racing. But yeah, only time will tell.
So I will do my mathematics as quickly as possible. It should take me hopefully only about 2 or 3 more minutes or so, but it's difficult when you have to keep talking at the same time as well. So obviously there's going to be an interesting battle from the junior contingent in this last race of the season. And you've been here before, Will, in these sorts of conditions in the wet at Whilton Mill when everybody's on wet tyres. There's not really going to be a drying line. You've got to go for, you know, the full tilt of 14 minutes plus 1 lap. This is so hard work.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be difficult for everyone, especially the people up front. They're going to have to just try and push away, but if it turns into a massive battle, it will be amazing to watch, and everyone will be really respectful, as they always are. And yeah, it should turn out to be a really good race, though.
So the drivers are obviously trying to get themselves into a good position, but it's always very difficult at this last race of the season when everybody's trying, obviously, to find that little bit extra. And there's so much to play for because everybody wants to be at the front end of that field. They always want to be right up to the sharp end. So there's so little to choose from as well between these drivers because they're all so closely matched. All the way through the year, the junior category has been very even from the top 2 drivers in the championship. They've been so closely matched, and there's been such a tight rivalry, not just between those 2, but at least 6 or 7 drivers on the grid who've been snapping away for the points and the podiums.
It's always been like that in the juniors, and I reckon it always will be. It's just so even, and it always comes down to driver skill, and it gets to that point where you just can't push any quicker, and everyone's on that same level, and it's just full send, really. Everyone's just going for it.
So you've been here in these situations with a final up about to get underway. You've obviously raced with a lot of these guys before. What's going through the mind at this stage when you're sat in the pits, when you know that there's a tough race ahead and there's such an even spread between the drivers? What's going through your head at this point?
Just, you can't really predict anything. You can't predict where you're going to go, because if something happens, you have to change that instantly. But you just hope for the best start you can, and you know that what happens happens. If you get a brilliant start, then cool, and then just go for it, really. But yeah, you just have to wait and see what happens.
So obviously these guys are going to be wanting to push very hard at the early stages, but you have to be very conservative in the early stages at this circuit, because it doesn't dry very quickly when the weather is cold, and that's the difficulty. Because the temperature is very low here, you obviously have to work very hard to get the tyres and brakes up to temperature on the rolling lap, and they'll have 2 opportunities to do that because of how wet it is out there, but it's not really going to tell us much about, you know, exactly who's going to get the start. I mean, earlier on we saw Toby Baldry get a lightning getaway, but then eventually got caught by Nicky Taylor in the last race. Nicky Taylor wasn't able really to hang around the front. Once Scott Huntley got onto the wets, you know, he was just gone.
Yeah, tables can turn so quickly, as we've seen in so many races this year, and from previous years as well. Things change so quickly in these sort of conditions, and you just have to get the setup perfect.
I feel really sorry for this guy we're watching on the stream at the moment, Dylan birelART, because he made the gamble from the back of the grid in the heat when it looked like it was actually quite a smart idea. You know, you're dead last anyway. You may as well just go for a roll of the dice and switch to slicks. He was 15 minutes too soon with that gamble, because if he'd done it 15 minutes later, he would have dominated.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're starting from the back, there's no harm in taking a risk. Like, if it worked, then brilliant, it would have worked. But unfortunately, he got slightly unlucky a bit too early, but at least he gave it a go.
Now, you've won here, of course, in the birelART UK Junior Series, and that was only about 18 months ago, so you'll know exactly what's at stake here. But when the championship is on the line, and we know that Harry Graham, we're watching on the screen, he's got 5 points advantage over Callum Gunning coming into this last race. There's very little you can do except just dig deep and find that inner strength and confidence, that inner peace that you know you have with yourself as an athlete. You've just got to drag it out of yourself. But when there's so much pressure on you, I mean, how do you find that inner strength? Where does that character come from?
You just have to stay focused, and you just have to stay consistent. You can't throw it away all in the first laps. Yeah, sure, make a couple places, but you're not going to win it in the first couple laps, and you need to sort of play it smart, and that's what he's got to do in this race to beat Callum in the championship.
So I'm very nearly at the end of my mathematics for trying to suss out who it is that's got the victory in the rookies campaign. I basically just need to fill in today's results now, because I had to go through the entire championship season with my special mathematical calculator to figure out who has got the job done, because it's so ridiculously close over the season. Just to give you an idea, there were 3 points separating them going into the last race of the season. But as I put the last 2 results into the calculator, Archie Heron on 118 for the last race of the season, and of course Craig Evans on 116. I can tell you now, subject to official confirmation, that the Rookie of the Year in the cadets is Archie Heron by just 5 points if it stays the way it is, and that is subject to official confirmation. It's so tight, but Archie Heron has just about done it. The main swing really was in the heat and the pre-finals. Over the course of the season, Archie's just been that tiny bit stronger in the first 2 races of the weekend, but it's the last race of the weekend, the one that the trophies get awarded for, where Craig has traditionally been the strongest. But next year, that's going to be a great title fight between those two, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. I mean, you just have to play consistent in this, and consistency is key, and yeah, that's how you're going to win things. And if he can do that next year and be further up the table, then he's definitely got a mega chance in winning the championship. Same as Craig. They're both going to be in a really tight fight, but yeah, hopefully it should be good.
But now comes the last junior race of the season, and it's the championship showdown we've been waiting for. It comes down to the very last race of the year in the junior category. Just 5 points separate Callum Gunning and Harry Graham at the top. It's going to be such a tough fight. If it finishes the way that the previous race played out, by the way, if they stay relatively in the same position, then Callum Gunning would snatch the title away from Graham by just 2 points. So Graham has got to make up places here. Scott Huntley from Toby Baldry at the front of the grid. Parkinson from Gunning. Whitehouse from Nicky Taylor. And then on the 4th row of the grid, Morgan Cole, just a whisker in front of Will Vincent, who's done an amazing job in his final weekend of the season to be the top rookie when he's only done a half campaign. Sam Cunliffe and Joe Sheppy on the 5th row of the grid. Looking at the way things stack and how they've been going over the course of the weekend, Will, the title's harder to predict, but for the race, who's your money on?
It's going to be really difficult, and it's just going to be so close. I mean, Harry's going to have to make up quite a few positions to catch up to Gunning, but he needs to finish just behind him to keep the championship won. And if he can do that, then, well, congratulations. But it's going to be so close, and anything can happen in these conditions.
It doesn't help either that although they're all on wet tyres, the rain has stopped. So technically, it's going to be quite difficult to predict who's going to get the overall victory. And of course, there's a lot of other drivers in this race who want to finish the season on a high. We know how fast Nicky Taylor is, won the heat earlier on. Scott Huntley dominated on the wet tyres in the pre-final. We could even end up with a completely different third race winner. Toby Baldry is desperate for that first win now.
Definitely, I think he's a strong contender for it. And yeah, everyone's going to be on full push, full attack, and it's going to be clean. I reckon it'll be clean. They're always really respectful, but last race of the season, it's going to be really close, but it's going to be exciting.
And the thing is, because it's so unpredictable here at Whilton Mill, the weather changes so frequently, and the way that the circuit drains is basically on a knife edge the whole time. You don't really know from one lap to the next where things are going to go. So it will be a very tricky start to this race. It looks as though everybody is going to take it up, though, so there's nobody missing from the grid this time. But all eyes are now on the start of this one because it could literally go either way. According to my math, just 5 points now separate these two. There were 15 points apart coming into the round. Now there's just 5 in it. And this is going to be the race to decide it all. Here we go. It's a good start, is it, from the front? Yes, it is. Huntley gets straight into the lead. Parkinson darts into second position. A big problem for up the inside comes Scott Huntley back again into the lead. Baldry trying to hang on to second or third position. He's going to slip to fourth behind Gunning. Gunning to third. Perfect start for Callum Gunning. This is what he needs. But for the lead, that is going to be Parkinson. Through on Scott Huntley. Zach Parkinson takes the lead here up the Christmas corner. And on the run down to Ashby, Gunning now to second position. Gunning is desperate to win it. If he wins the race, he's almost certainly going to be champion if he keeps this pace up. But for Harry Graham, he's got to make progress, and he's doing so. Off on the grass goes Gartside. That's another place made up for Graham. Graham's going to try again to make up a position on Will Vincent. Isn't quite there for the moment. Really exciting stuff on this first lap as they jockey for position, but Graham's lost the place now to Dylan Reed, and another one to Alicia Barmowski. This is terrible for Graham.
This is a real shame. He was starting to make up some good positions there, but he's just made another one. There we go, into boot. Yeah, he's doing well. He can definitely pull this back, I reckon. He's a really good driver in the wet.
So hopefully it's early doors, but there's plenty of chance for him to come back. Callum Gunning now second. Nicky Taylor's chomping at the bit to come through into second position, though. Toby Baldry fourth from Cunliffe. Then it's Huntley down in sixth position now. Seventh is Whitehouse having a good run. Taylor goes for the move on the inside into second. Baldry's going to make a late lunge on both of them and spins it. Toby Baldry, I think he just got eyes wider than his stomach there. Saw a gap, wanted to go for it, but there was not enough traction there on the inside. Now, crucially, did Graham get through and make up another place? Yes, he did. So Graham has made up another place there, and every position counts in this race for Graham, because depending on where Callum Gunning ends up, and he's dropped to third position now behind Taylor. Taylor's got him, so every position counts now for Graham. He's got to start making his way through the field. So this is a very important race from here on in for Harry Graham as they come up to the boot once again. And in the slippery conditions, this is all about Graham making up a place or two. He and Dylan Reed are going to get a move there on Vincent, and Graham's going to get back on the inside. He's made up 2 places in one move. That's going to put him into 10th place. Graham has got to bring his A game, and he's doing it.
He's definitely picking up a few places per lap, and if he carries this on, he can definitely get behind Callum, I reckon. it's going to be really close. Morgan seems like he's doing really well out front.
Yes, Morgan Cole is there in ninth position. He drifts a little bit wide. Graham is going to try and reel him in. 10th position compared to Callum Gunning in third. Make that fourth, because Sam Cunliffe, always the wet weather genius, has made another place. That's really well timed. Now, in terms of what this does to the points tally, if the race were to end like this, Callum Gunning would be on 122 points, and a 10th position finish for Harry Graham would give him 116. Now, that's a 6-point difference, but on dropped scores, that would give Gunning the title by 1 point. So Graham's got to make at least 2 more places up. If he can do that, he will be the champion. He's got to make up 2 more places. In fact, if he gets past 1 more driver, and I think he's done that. Morgan Cole, he's through it to 9th position, is he? No, he's 8th now. He's in 8th position, so that will be enough for, I think, 118. Yes, Harry Graham is now the champion by 1 point. If he stays 8th with Gunning in 3rd, that would be enough for Graham to win the title by just 1 point. It's absolutely unbelievable how close this title fight is going.
This is too close to call. Jesus.
Absolutely amazing, isn't it? And now we've got Parkinson being caught by Nicky Taylor. Cunliffe is 3rd, Gunning is 4th. He needs another place here. Gunning needs to get back into the top 3 with Graham charging hard. But with Gunning 4th and Graham 8th, Graham would be champion by just 1 point. Absolutely amazing that it's come down to this in the last race of the season. Harry Graham is still pushing. A really exciting battle as they continue to charge forward. And with this title going down to the wire, a big hello to Daniel Ricciardo himself. Looking forward to working with you all in 2019. He was watching Scott Huntley from earlier on. Great one to watch. But now the title fight in the juniors is coming down to the wire. Harry Graham in 8th position, Callum Gunning in 4th. If it stays like this, Graham is champion by just 1 point. I don't remember it ever being as close as that.
No, I don't think it has ever been as close as this, has it?
Absolutely incredible. Just the best way to round off a season. Anything could still happen in the next 9 minutes and 18 seconds, plus the additional lap, of course. But in 4th place, Callum Gunning is charging after Sam Cunliffe to try and get himself back into the top 3. This is Brazil 2008 for Lewis Hamilton all over again, isn't it? Amazing that it's coming down to this as Gunning tries his hardest to get himself back into the top 3. But for Harry Graham, getting past George Whitehouse would cement a 2-point advantage in the championship. And if Gunning makes up another place, he'll gain another 2 points. So it's important that Harry Graham makes up another place or 2. Toby Baudry now slipping, well, getting back, I should say, into 10th position. There he is, fighting his way back. An absolutely terrific race this is turning into, but for Zach Parkinson, he's got the pressure cooker up front from Nicky Taylor. Taylor has caught him. What this could mean for Zach Parkinson if he could hang on and take his first win in juniors.
I think he'd be amazed with it, but it's going to be a really close battle, isn't it? And he looks really comfortable out front, but obviously Nicky's quite a strong driver, and when he's attacking, he's definitely attacking. There's no holding him back, but yeah, it's going to be super close.
There's only so far that Nicky Taylor can push Zach without risking going off himself. He's just got to be patient. It's a long, long race. He doesn't want to do anything rash at this stage, but Zach Parkinson has got to keep the pressure cooker in check here in the lead of the race in what could be his first ever victory. Taylor dives to the inside of Oblivion and Crook. He's going to drift out wide. Parkinson will get a little bit of traction on the exit. They'll be side by side up Manuel's bank, and Parkinson is going to squeeze Taylor. Perfectly done. Taylor gets back to the inside. Parkinson's still there on the outside. He's not quitting. He's not giving up, and Taylor slides through to take the lead. Terrific racing. Parkinson now going back at him into Ashby. Dives on the inside. Gets the lead. Squeezes Taylor onto the grass. Nothing wrong with that move at all. Parkinson taking back the lead.
That was perfect. That was brilliant battling. There was nothing wrong with that move. That was just tough racing, and that's how it is.
What a move from Zach Parkinson. And now Nicky Taylor's in the clutches of Sam Cunliffe. So Cunliffe's now trying to come through to take second. I want to see that overtake again, I have to say, from Parkinson. He really met, that's as far over the limit as you can go to deal with a driver coming through. Let's look at it again. So Taylor's already got the lead. Parkinson to the inside. This is in the inside line at Ashby. It's so hard to get this done. He's got the inside. He stops the car. Taylor's fast around the outside, but that's perfect positioning for Parkinson. He can use the car and place it there. Taylor had to bail out of that a bit earlier, and he just got caught out. Great move from Parkinson.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was a brilliant move. And, you know, it's even harder to get that move done when it's wet as well on the inside of that corner, because sometimes it just locks up and you have nowhere to go but straight. But yeah, really well done to Zach for getting that move done.
If he wins this race, this is going to be a massive feather in the cap for Zach Parkinson. He's absolutely in charge at the moment. Taylor's got Sam Cunliffe breathing down his neck, and there's not many drivers who will give a rougher ride than Sam Cunliffe onto the back of Nicky Taylor. Callum Gunning's still working well. Meanwhile, Graham has done more homework, and he is up into 6th position now. That would give him 120 points, just 2 less than Callum Gunning, and that would make him champion by 3. So at the moment, Graham is in touch and is set to be champion. He's just got to stay close to Callum Gunning. He can't afford to let this slip now. Absolutely terrific. Great to see that the last round of the championship is going down to the wire in such a manner. Ami Churga watching on and rooting for Zach Parkinson. This would be a very popular victory if he could get this done. I think the whole paddock would be elated for him.
I think everyone would be so happy for him. I mean, it was his best qualifying so far. He's had such a good weekend, and to bring it home on a high, especially on the last race of the round, it would just be amazing.
And what an amazing season. So many drivers have had their turn on the podium in all 3 types of race, the heat, the final, and the pre-final, of course. But Zach Parkinson is crucially a 2.5 seconds clear in the final with 4 minutes and 40 plus the additional lap to go. And Callum Gunning is in 4th place with Harry Graham being chased down by Toby Borgi. Now this could get a bit of a problem for Harry, because if Toby, who's desperate to win, is going to try and make the move, Harry, surely the percentage says you just need to let him go.
Yeah, if he wants to play the smart game, he's going to have to let him go, but it's the last race and everyone wants to be up top, don't they? And, you know...
Oh, spin out of the final turn. That's Will Vincent going around, and that has given the lead in the rookies class to Alicia Parmowski, who is set to clinch the title in the rookies anyway. So Parmowski looks set to get it done. Toby Borges to the inside. Look, Harry Graham, very sensible. He backed out of it. He saw that Toby was alongside. I might win the championship here. Just go, Toby. Let him have it.
Yeah, he's definitely playing the smart game. He knows what's going on. I think he might have worked it out before, but yeah, he's definitely playing the smart game and he's doing it very well. And hopefully he can keep it like that and win the championship.
If it stays like this, he'll do it by 2 points. It's not done yet. Meanwhile, Nicky Taylor has done all the hard work again and closed right back onto the tail of Zach Parkinson once more. And this time, he wants blood. He's going to try and come back at him. Nicky Taylor is one of the most hard knuckles racers in this paddock, and he is never going to give up on Zach Parkinson as they go through the first corner, up Manuel's bank. And again, Nicky Taylor's going to try and make the lunge. Zach Parkinson just keeping his own race in check. Does he even realise how close Nicky Taylor is at this point? Because Nicky is right underneath him. I think now he will. Going through Christmas, he'll sense that Nicky's there. He's got to defend, does he, to the inside? Well, no, you've got to take the smoother, smarter line round. But again, with 3 minutes to go, Nicky doesn't want to rush this move. He wants to get it done at exactly the right time and exactly the right way.
I've had some really good battles with Zach, and he definitely knows how to race. And, you know, getting past him is going to be very difficult. But then again, Nicky's really good at attacking. So, you know, it's going to be a 50-50 game, and we don't know who can win this, but...
Oh, here he goes! Nicky's going to drive for the inside line. Zach's got a good run round the outside. Nicky's going to have it, though. Brilliant move from Nicky Taylor. He takes the lead. And it was very, very smartly done. He just read the situation on the inside line. Nicky Taylor grabs the lead there from Zach Parkinson. Very, very nicely done indeed. It's taken him a while to get there, but now that he's got the gap, now that he's got the lead, it's going to be hard for Parkinson to fight back.
Yeah, Zach was just trying to take the quickest line around the corner, and Taylor read it perfectly, and he just took that opportunity, and he's done it, and he's got away. But yeah, hopefully Zach...
Oh, that's Graham about to lose another place to Dylan Reed. He can't afford to lose too many. He's lost another, and that means that he will now win the championship by only 1 point. If he loses one more, the title fight would be a dead heat, and on countback, it would go to Harry Graham, so he cannot afford to lose too many more places. Taylor leads it. Parkinson's second now from Cunliffe, Gunning, Huntley, Baldry, Reed and Graham, with Whitehouse 9th and Sheppy 10th. But Harry Graham cannot afford to lose too many more places in this last race of the season. There's 1 point between these two at the top. Anything could happen still.
Yeah, Harry's definitely going to have to start getting his head down. He doesn't want to get overtaken again, otherwise that's a championship out of his hands. But yeah, it's going to be so close, and it has been all season.
This is the karting equivalent of Brazil 2008 in F1, and this of course is the week of the 10th anniversary of that showdown. And in the last ever birelART UK series, before it transitions into the Daniel Ricciardo series, it is an absolutely nail-biting final race in the juniors with less than a minute to go, plus the additional lap, as Toby Baldry, having dealt with Harry Graham, is now charging onto the back of Scott Huntley. If these two trip over each other, then Graham is guaranteed the championship. So Toby's got to get about this done sensibly, but Toby has got so much incredible racecraft in these conditions. Last time out at Shennington, he spent a whole practice session on the Saturday in the pouring rain on slicks to learn about it. Baldry's going to make the dive on the inside of Huntley. Huntley's able to defend to cover it, but now he knows that Baldry's going to be on him like a pack of dogs. Into the final turn, Baldry goes for the gap, and he's there. Nicely done from Baldry. Keep the cart on the lock stops, and he's through. Good move from Baldry.
That was brilliant racecraft from Toby. Yeah, he's always been such a great racer. I've had some brilliant battles with him as well. Such for all the other drivers as well, but definitely Toby, he's a strong contender.
So now they're about to go into the last lap of the season. For Nicky Taylor, it looks like he's going to win in the final race of the year, which is an amazing record because he's fought so hard to get his first win, and he's now won 4. If he stays in the front, he's now won 4 of the last 5 races. Championship contender in 2019? Almost certainly.
Definitely, yeah, he's such a good driver and he's so strong, especially in the wet conditions. As you can see, he's pulled out such a big gap from Zach already, but yeah, it's definitely going to be one to watch for next year.
I have a feeling if he wins this one, he's going to clinch 3rd in the Drivers' Championship away from Scott Huntley as well, who is down in P6. So that is what it means to him to get the victory. It was always going to be tight. Oh, not quite, in fact. Huntley would need to lose more places. So Taylor would close up to 5 points, but not quite enough to get 3rd place. But what a result this will be for Nicky Taylor if he hangs on to it. Harry Graham's just got to fend off George Whitehouse for 1 more lap, and he will be champion. But for Nicky Taylor, it is almost home. And I was going to say dry, but far from in these conditions. Into Osiers for the last time. Nicky Taylor has been absolutely stellar over the last 2 weekends. Pre-final and final winner at Shennington. The heat winner earlier on. Had a difficult race earlier on in the pre-final, but now he's going to bounce back. You're only as good as your last race, and his last ever race in birelART Juniors. He is at the top. Nicky Taylor wins the final at Whilton Mill. Brilliant race from Nicky. Brilliant end to the year. 2nd place for Zach Parkinson. What a result from Zach. 3rd place is going to be Sam Cunliffe. A valiant effort from Callum Gunning all season. He's trying to figure out, have I done it? Have I done it? Baldry is 6th. Huntley is 7th. 8th is going to be Dylan Reed. And in 8th position, Dylan Reed is 6th in front of Huntley. And in 8th place, Harry Graham is the champion by 1 point. Unbelievable.
That's just so close, and well, massive well done to Harry. He definitely deserves that, and he looks very happy with that, and I would be too.
You can't believe it's come down to just the last race, the last lap of the season, and Harry Graham is the champion by just 1 point. Magic. Absolutely unbelievable. It comes down to the last race of the year after so much hard work. But by my calculations on dropped scores, Harry Graham is the champion by a mere solitary 1 point. Harry Graham, 2-1-8-4. Callum Gunning, 2-1-8-3. What a season. What an amazing year.
Yeah, they were both trying their hearts out for that last race. And yeah, props to them. They both drove brilliantly, and Harry knew what he had to do to keep that championship intact. But yeah, massive congratulations to him and to Callum Gunning for coming 2nd.
And to Alicia Parmowski, who with that final victory of the year in the rookies means that she has clinched the rookie championship. Alicia Parmowski is rookie champion in the birelART UK Juniors in 2018 as well. A fantastic end to the year. Harry Graham is the champion by 1 point. Alicia Parmowski is the rookie champion. But there's the moment of truth as the Graham family start to take in what they have just achieved, as Harry Graham is champion by 1 point. It couldn't be closer. Amazing. There's some emotional scenes down there in scrutineering, but Harry Graham has done it by just 1 solitary point. Will, you sure you don't want to put Ricardo colours on your suit next year?
Oh, mate, it's going to be tempting, but Genetic Juniors is definitely the way to go for me. But I'd love to join it for a
I'm sure we can convince you to change your mind. Thank you very much indeed for joining me, Will. Thank you so much. What a great end to the year for the juniors. A really exciting last race. Let's show you some of the highlights from that very dramatic encounter that ended off our junior season in such an amazing fashion. You couldn't have predicted that the title fight would come down to the wire so tightly in the last race of the year. Thrills and spills right from the start. Nicky Taylor putting his elbows out right from the off. He pulled off some killer moves in the opening couple of laps, as too did Toby Baldry, of course. That was the move for the lead on Zach Parkinson that sorted out this race, but it was consistency that really, well no, that was the first move actually, Taylor on Parkinson. Zach Parkinson really stood up to the challenge here, and some brilliant racecraft with him and Nicky Taylor. Nothing wrong with either of their driving at all. They both gave as good as they've got. They were elbows out, little bit of contact, but nothing malicious at all. Just the rough and tumble nature of karting. This is how it's supposed to be done, isn't it? Parkinson up the inside, Taylor trying to come around the outside for that move there, but not enough room. There was nothing wrong with that move at all, but a great race between the two of them. And Nicky Taylor ends the year victorious after this move that will be coming up very shortly. Harry Graham playing the percentages all day today. He knew that there was a chance he could have lost out. He let enough people go that he could stay in touch. But all season long, Harry Graham has been a master of incredible racecraft, and I don't think he can quite believe how close it's come to and how tight it's gone. But by 1 point, Harry Graham is the last ever birelART Junior champion. Roll on the DRS next year, because this kid is meant for big things in motorsport. Great job from Harry Graham. A very nice end to the season for Harry, and there you go, his best mate Tom Davison is down there joining the queue to congratulate Harry at the end of a great season. Look at that, those two are great bosom mates, those two. A fantastic end to the season for Harry Graham. That's Mummy Taylor, I think, congratulating Harry Graham. Harry Barlow, I think, down there as well, is it? No, my apologies. What an end to the season. Absolutely terrific. By 1 point, the championship is settled in Harry Graham's favour. There's Papa Taylor congratulating Harry Graham. Richard Taylor congratulates Harry on an amazing season. A terrific end to the year. There's smiles and tears all around the paddock. Look at Morgan Cole rushing over to Harry. Have you done it? Yes, by 1 point. Amazing. What amazing scenes down here. And Scott Huntley's come over to congratulate Harry as well. Just 1 point. I love the camaraderie in it. And here's Nicky Taylor, race winner. Nicky Taylor comes over and congratulates Harry Graham as well. What a perfect end to the year. A brilliant race weekend. The title that was always going to come down to the wire, settled the right way with close, no nonsense, no holds barred racing. The final race winner of the year is Nicky Taylor, but we know our two champions now, and appropriately enough, the kart that wins the junior championship is number 3, Harry Graham. I bet Danny Rick would be delighted with that one. Hello and welcome back to Whilton Mill. It's the last round of the birelART UK Series 2018. We've had an amazing day of racing. It's been a great season finale, and the last time we all wear red and white, of course, before we hand over to the DRS, the Daniel Ricciardo Series next year. So let's get our final podium winners of 2018. Now we move on to the very last junior podium of the season, and of course to our drivers who have ended their season on a high. We'll start with the leading novice across the line in the final race of the year, and the winner of the novice points for the season as well, the 125, Alicia Palmowski! A great end to her rookie campaign and a fantastic end to the year. A moment on the top step of the podium once again for Alicia in what's been a terrific season. Let's hear it one more time again for Alicia Palmowski, our leading rookie, ladies and gentlemen. And so, to our top 3 drivers on the overall podium in the last junior race of the season. In third position, another great run in mixed conditions for the 118, Sam Cunliffe! Where is Sam? Has Sam disappeared? Oh, well, we'll wait for him to run over. We did say that the podium was about to start. He'll get here in a moment, hopefully. Oh, he is coming. Here he goes. Come on, Sam. Break into a run, mate. Here he comes. He's proper sprinting down the pit lane. Run, Forrest, run. Here he comes. Ladies and gentlemen, your third position man, Sam Cunliffe, ladies and gentlemen. Another great season for Sam Cunliffe and a great end to the year in third position. In second place, this is a very satisfying result for everyone in the paddock. I'm sure everyone's really delighted. His last race as a junior and his first podium, the 65, at last, Zach Parkinson! A very popular second place. So nearly a victory. But what a great end to a brilliant year for Zach. And on the top spot, 4 wins out of 5 in the last 5 races of the year, and finally an established winner. He's going to be hard to beat next year. The number 4, Nicky Taylor! A great way to end the season. And some very popular juniors up on the podium at the end of a great year. So that is our final podium for 2018 in the juniors. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, again for Alicia Palmowski, Sam Cunliffe, Sam Parkinson and Nicky Taylor! We'll go in and have a quick word. Nicky, good end to the year, and that's a great way to go into the off-season.
Yeah, I mean, we were strong at Shenny, and then the pace obviously carried over, and once you get your first win, you really just start winning, and it just comes naturally. But I mean, that was a hard fight with Zach, and Zach really did really well in the wet, and we just managed to get out on top today, but he would be hard to beat if he was in it next season, but he has to move on, and we'll move on and hopefully win more races.
Well done, Nicky. Fantastic job. Great end to the season. Zach, at last, a podium. Brilliant. It's great to see you. So nearly a win as well. That must really be a perfect way to end your year.
Yeah, it was perfect. I mean, it was a great battle with Nicky. I thought I might have been able to hold it onto it halfway through the battle, but just managed to get past me at the end. I just want to say thanks to my dad, granddad, granny, all my family, mum, sister, everyone. So thank you very much.
A great end to the year, Zach. Well done. Very well deserved. Let's grab a quick word with Sam Cunliffe as well. Sam, it's been a character-building year. Lots of top 3s this year and a victory again as well. I guess next year you'll come back even stronger.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sam. No, he is always like that. He is even worse than Sam Faulkner for interviews. Alicia, a great end to the season as well. It's been a very strong year and always good to see you towards the sharp end.
Oh, yeah, I'm over the moon. My goal this year was to win the rookie championship. I've had a great battle all year with all the other rookies. On to next year now.
And for next year, your next trick, the overall.
Yep.
Well done, guys. Give it up for your juniors, ladies and gentlemen. A great end to the season. Well done, everyone. A final word at the end of the last ever birelART UK Series weekend from Andy Cox. Andy, a very emotional end to the birelART brand here in the paddock, but we're really looking forward to seeing the Daniel Ricciardo Series in next year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, we're still working with Birel and looking forward to welcoming the guys at Ricciardo Kart. I'd just like to thank everybody for supporting the series this year. Thanks to our commentator. And thank you to all my race direction staff who have a real difficult job. You know, obviously trying to keep all the races running and trying to keep everybody happy. I'd like to say a special thanks to everybody in the race support, Don, Jane, Pete, Carol, Stuart, and Lee, and everybody who I've forgotten. But no, it's a lot of work to put the show on, with the help of Alpha Live, and Sam in the timing and stuff like that. We enjoy it. So I hope you all enjoy it, and I hope you all come back next year. I think we've got the awards evening in January. We'll be at the Autosports show in January as well. I want to say congratulations to all our champions in all 3 classes. So we need to verify everything, and then we will cheer our champions at the awards evening.
Thank you very much. Andy Cox, ladies and gentlemen, your championship coordinator. A fantastic end to a fantastic season. It's goodbye birelART UK. Hello, Danny Ricciardo. See you next year in 2019. Bring it on!